Hey guys, this is Tim and Carl of TDG here. In today's video, we will be discussing the interview Talkative Try had with Jonathan, and we will also be discussing the highlights from the interview and what we are most excited for in regards to the future of PoE 1 and PoE 2. So, Carl, what were your thoughts on the interview, and how did you think Talkative Try did?
So I actually thought Try did really good in the interview. I know we got a lot of hate for the interview, which I actually thought was crazy. I know
Right.
maybe we're comparing that to the Ziz interview, but I thought Try did great. I thought there was a lot of really good conversation that was going on. I thought he got Jonathan to really open up. And there was a couple of times in there, Jonathan said, what the hell, let me just share this anyway. And I don't know, he got him into like a
Right.
really nice comfort zone. I thought it was a really good interview. What about you, Tim? What did you think after watching it?
I mean, for me, I'm kind of someone who I wouldn't describe myself like him, but again, for me, it was just like I just enjoyed what I watched. It was good, it was pleasant, it was enjoyable, right? And again, as you kind of mentioned, Talkative Try had him open up, right? We'll be talking about this in a little bit, but like the whole Zana thing, like Jonathan was like, oh yeah, like he again, it just seemed amenable, it seemed nice. Again, yes, we can compare in regards to the interview with Ziz, right? Where he's asking hard questions and there's emotional intensity, but this one was just it was good. Honestly, it was just a positive interview overall. Now, with that being said, one of the main talking points from the interview actually came from the beginning, and this was the scheduling. Jonathan was talking about how they're prioritizing locking in dates rather than focusing on features, which they did initially with PoE 2. Now, what happened within the interview is Jonathan said that, again, each league is going to be 2 months apart, meaning there's going to be 4 month intervals in between leagues for PoE 1 and same thing for PoE 2, and they're going to be off stacked, if that's the right word. So we're going to be getting a league every 2 months. So, Carl, how do you feel about
Dude, when he said that, I was literally grinning ear to ear. I was so excited.
that?
Dude, you have no idea. It's been almost 11 months, I think, coming up on a year basically for the last PoE 1 expansion. So,
It's a
uh,
long time.
yeah, it's a really long time. And I don't know. I think it's going to be really, really good. It was really fun to hear them say that they're going to be offsetting it by 2 months. I think
Hmm.
4 months will be great. That's 6 leagues a year. It's great for some things, probably really bad for my social life, but we'll figure that part out. What about you? I know you haven't really been playing PoE long, but what were your thoughts hearing that?
I mean, just having expectations of when something is coming is really nice, right? Like, again, just knowing, like, okay, every 2 months, this new thing is coming. That is going to be exciting for players, right? Instead of wondering, hey, like, especially for PoE 1 players, again, I've played more PoE 2 than PoE 1. Just having the idea of, like, okay, there's a new league coming in 2 months. I'm excited for this, especially if, like, hey, like, Dawn of the Hunt didn't have a great start, so it's like people can, at least in this predicament, could say, hey, at least in a month and a half, 2 months, we got this league coming up for PoE 1, right? It leaves people or allows people to be still excited about the next upcoming league regardless. It's a good thing.
And a little inside baseball off there, just to put a little bit of extra spin to that. So Jonathan mentioned it was an expansion league. So
Hmm.
I don't expect you to know that, and any listeners who
Nope,
aren't
not
long
at all.
time, yeah, any listeners who aren't long time PoE veterans, there's a difference between expansions and a new league. Expansions typically come with something that goes core to the game immediately, and normally changes something massively within the game. So this is gonna either be a monster amazing expansion, or I'm not gonna lie, it could be a little bit of a flop because they said a couple months ago that nobody had even touched PoE 1 yet. So that would be a really rushed expansion. I doubt that's going to be the case, but just a little food for thought on the word choice that Jonathan used. And so, Tim, with that being said, you had mentioned it on the in the intro here that Try
Mhm.
actually had a really nice disposition with Jonathan and got him to maybe give some things away without giving some things away. I think you had mentioned you wanted to talk about maybe the Zana topic. How did you feel about hearing that possibly she might be coming back?
Well, firstly, I felt nothing because not that I don't have a soul, but because I've never, again, really experienced PoE 1, right? For players who are long term or long time PoE 1 fans, I know this is a big thing. Like, I understand. But I think, at least in the interview, the way Try kind of had him answer the question without him answering it was just kind of funny. Like, Jonathan just kind of totally agreed with, like, okay, yeah, Zana's coming back for PoE 1. There's been hints, there's been notes, there's been the rose petals, right? I mean, for me, I'm excited, I 100% am, but I don't think I'm as excited as you are because that's just I'm missing context.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see what they do. It seems like they've gotten better
Mhm.
as a studio storytelling over the past, X amount of years. And I'm just, yes, I'm very excited to see what they do with it. So anyway, leaving PoE 1 aside for right now, let's move in and shift gears to PoE 2. Tim, in that interview, Jonathan, they were talking about some balance changes, the desire to stay away from the nerfs of things, but he did mention that he'd be open to rebalancing and maybe buffing some things. I'm curious, what were your thoughts as somebody who was starting PoE from PoE 2 and getting to experience the first two leagues? How did you feel? How did you receive that?
I mean, the first two leagues were chaos, right? Like you had attribute stackers going crazy, you had mage or lightning builds just being again insane, right? Even the monk ice staff was a great build, right? When essentially what Jonathan said was like, "Hey, I'm open to buffs mid league. I'm not open to nerfs," right? Essentially, he didn't want to take the wind out of everybody's sails if they're trying to make a build that's really good, and then they say, "Hey, we're nerfing this," right? For me, it like just intuitively, hey, like buffs in the middle of the season and nerfs not in the middle of the season, that makes sense to me. I think that's understandable. I think we actually have a difference of opinion, but I mean, for me, I'm like, hey, that's not a bad thing. Like, again, I think it's a good thing personally. It doesn't feel bad to quote Jonathan.
So yeah, we definitely have a difference of opinions here. I'll make this kind of short and sweet. I'm not really have a hard and fast rule here, but my thought process is more along the lines of it's all about the expectation that you're setting, right? It's do you want people to be playing the game and have the expectation that they will be able to delete everything on the screen with one button click? And if that's not what you're aiming for this game to become, then I think that it is dangerous to leave it in the game for so long. Don't get me wrong, I love exploding the screen with the click of a button. I just that's my worry about it. I think that if they communicate things well,
Hmm.
if they direct it well, if they let us know a week or 2 weeks ahead of time what nerfs are coming, I don't know. I just think it's early access, right? We can't treat the game like a fully released game. So that would be something I'd like to see
Yep.
changed, but I understand it both ways.
Yep. It's just all about expectations, right?
Yeah, that's it. And that kind of caveats us right into or takes us right into the next topic that we wanted to discuss, which was build diversity that Jonathan mentioned. I thought it was pretty funny. There was like 2 to 3 guys who he said could actually just make the changes, which that's a good chuckle just in general. Um,
It's like a group of four, yeah, or something
yeah.
like that.
So I think just in general, I think we can both agree that that'll be something that'll be really exciting to watch them do and get to see them do with the rebalancing, and then to a larger scale once 0.3 comes out, or
Mm,
once 3.26 comes out for PoE 1, leading us into
right.
0.3 for PoE 2. I think that'll be fun to see what they can come up with. So another thing that they said they were going to be bringing to the game, actually, with one of the new patches coming out, I believe next week, is going to be chase runes. So I really think this is a
Mhm.
cool idea where they're going to be allowing us to replace the attribute stacking or the resistances that we're currently using the runes for with a
Right.
new idea of some higher level sockets. And guys, we're going to have this on the screen as we talk about it, but I'm going to run through what they posted so far. So we're going to have the plus or the rune that's going to give us plus level to spells. This is pretty cool. It's going to give us, I believe it's going to be a maximum of +3 to a spell level. And it's going to be pretty interesting because we're going to have the introduction now of the mana issue as we scale these skills higher. We're also going to have the addition of a rune that's going to let us socket it into the body armor specifically, which is going to take health damage as mana first, which is going to be cool, establishing some more mom style gameplay, which will be interesting to see how that works. The Chaos Rose rune, which is going to allow us to reduce chaos resistance after we curse an enemy. There'll be some pretty cool combos I think that the player base will find with this. This will be interesting. Again, right off of the back of this one is going to be the Poison rune, or I think this one was a talisman actually, with a +1 stack
Yep.
to poison with reduced duration. This will be interesting. I don't really know how this one's going to end up playing out, but anyway, saving the best for last, move speed. I mean, it's just the best in slot for the boots. We're going to be able to socket 2 of these into our boots. This is going to be both defensive, offensive, quality of life. And then just changing gears very slightly off of that. There's apparently been some mentions too of taking a little bit of a similar approach to the PoE, where we're going to get something similar to a Quicksilver Flask. I think it's actually going to be in this
Mhm.
the setting of charms. But Tim, what are your thoughts on
Right.
the current move speed in the game or the pacing of the game? I'm curious. What are you thinking about this?
So, I mean, one, of course, we compare PoE 1 to PoE 2. It's kind of funny how Jonathan said movement speed in PoE 1 and PoE 2 is the same, but it definitely feels different, right? Like PoE 1, you feel faster, PoE 2, you feel slower, just bar none. As me playing as a warrior, especially one that is, well, just being a warrior itself is slow. So this will just be really, really nice to be able to, again, by increasing movement speed, we move through the game faster. The campaign is not as long, as arduous as it should be, and we're getting to end game content quicker. Simple as that. The fact that we're doing it as a charm solution, I think, is interesting. I wonder how they will make that work, but I am excited for this. I think it's a good thing.
And I also think it's pretty cool that they're actually looking at this movement speed issues for 03 as a T1 issue. I would have loved to hear about what some of the other T1 issues were. I think that's maybe my, honestly, maybe my only criticism for Try through the whole interview. I thought he did a good job with rebound questions and kind of follow ups, but that would have been like a really big one that would have been great to hear.
Now, lastly, just wanted to hit some quick highlights here that were just small but were significant to us. Firstly, Jonathan mentioned that attribute requirements will be potentially being reduced for gems by around 10 to 20%, which is nice. They also mentioned that some amulets are super duper rare, like Astromentus, and it was like 1 in 47,000 divines, which is, I guess, worth it. Not really, but they're addressing this issue. So unique jewelry will be moved back into the main pool or loot pool for uniques, and no longer will have to, again, you won't have the base item being rolled first and then the unique, but firstly it'll be, say, it'll roll the unique and then pick the base item. So hopefully making amulets and rings more common, especially the unique ones. They also mentioned that targeting will be addressed, which is good. And I think this may validate a lot of people and make people feel better. But an interesting fact was that 50% of the deaths from the player base were due to volatile plants.
With that being said, Tim, is there anything else that we didn't touch on from the interview that you felt was worthy?
Not that I can think otherwise, Carl. But otherwise, guys, if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. Please consider liking. If you have any thoughts or comments, please leave them down below. And otherwise, we will see y'all in the next one.
Peace.